As many of you guys have already seen, the Cleveland Cavaliers just made a huge blockbuster trade that's going to impact the future of their franchise. The Cavs just traded for Donovan Mitchell, the all-star guard from the Utah Jazz, and sent over 3 first-round picks, 2 pick swaps, and also sent over Lauri Markkanen, the first-round pick Ochai Agbaji, and Colin Sexton, who signed with the Utah Jazz for a 4-year, $72 million deal. For the most part of this summer, we expected Donovan Mitchell to probably be traded, but rumors had surfaced that looked like it wasn't going to happen. But the Cavs apparently wanted to go ahead and make a big splash, and they did so. Now let's talk about this trade. When I look at it, Donovan Mitchell adding to the core of the Cleveland Cavaliers with Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, and Jarrett Allen, I like it. I think that Donovan Mitchell adds an offensive piece to this team that they were lacking at one point. When you look at Darius Garland and see his ability to help play make for others, you can see that he isn't the greatest offensive star that the Cavs need. And on top of that, Evan Mobley, Jarrett Allen, and I love Evan Mobley. I think Evan Mobley's going to have a huge rise next season. I don't think he's an offensive star yet. Donovan Mitchell, as you may hate him, say whatever you want to say about him, I think he's one of the better offensive superstars in the game right now. And adding to this core that the Cavs have right now is a plus in my end. Not to mention, I love the fact that they still have a lot of the bench players that they had before with Kevin Love, Karis LeVert, Shetty Osman, Isaac Okoro. And I know these aren't superstar names or guys that are going to put you over the edge for a championship, but I think that these are guys that can add to what they're going to do next season. I also do love the fact that at the end of the day, this is a team that was rebuilding. If you look at my latest video that I posted yesterday, you saw that I posted that the Cleveland Cavaliers are one of the best rebuilding teams that haven't made the playoffs in the past 2 years. This was a trade which changed their direction from rebuilding into looking to win a championship in the later years to come. I understand that right now this team is not where it needs to be. I think they're lacking in some areas that we're going to talk about, but I think that Donovan Mitchell is a superstar, an all-star guard that can help this team going forward with their already young core. You look at the fact that Evan Mobley's still on his rookie deal, Darius Garland's extension hasn't kicked in yet, Jarrett Allen is already on his extension, and Donovan Mitchell is on his max extension already right now. And I think that that's good. You have a young core, and you also have cap space, a little bit of cap space to move around and work with going on for the future, and you own your next 2 draft picks, 2 first-round draft picks for the years to come. I think it's an okay trade, but there are some things that we have to talk about, of course. I did talk about the cap space. They're going to have limited cap space to go forward in the next few years, and at the end of the day, the flexibility financially for championship teams is so important, because if you're locked down in the cap, you can't make adequate moves to improve this team. And right now, this team does need improvements. Now, I don't expect them to win a championship or be one of the top 4 teams in the East, but they're lacking severely on the wings. I understand Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell, offensively they might look nice, but defensively, come on now, we know what's up. The Cavs are gonna have to figure out ways to help those guys on the defensive end, and on top of that, you gotta look at the fact that looking at the position at the 3, they're lacking severely. I know Shetty Osman might come in there, Isaac Okoro, who plays the 2, might come in at the 3, but they're very undersized right now and don't have a point of attack defender to really put this team over the hump. But again, like I said, I think that right now this was a move to just change the direction of where the Cavs were going. Out of all the rebuilding teams that they were in, they're one of the best teams, and now adding all-star guard Donovan Mitchell is going to put them in a place where they know that in the next few years, giving up their draft picks, they have to start winning and contending for a championship. And again, another thing to talk about are these draft picks. I know people love to talk about draft picks and talk about how important they are. They are important because giving up your entire future for Donovan Mitchell is I think that most of the time when people look at this trade who don't really like it, don't like the fit of Donovan Mitchell on this team. And I get it, the defense, like I've said before, it's going to be an issue. And I think that if you look at other all-star players that are in the same tier as Donovan Mitchell, let's say like a Jaylen Brown or a Brandon Ingram, who could have slid in at the 3 for this team, you probably would have thought that this trade would be perfect for this team. I think that just the fit of Donovan Mitchell onto this team is going to be kind of wonky defensively and trying to build around him, because right now this team is not built around him perfectly. They're also going to have to work on spacing as well, because on the Utah Jazz, Donovan Mitchell had spacing to allow him to attack on different areas of the court on offense, and I think that the Cavs are going to have to work around that as well. I do want to touch on the Utah Jazz. I think the Utah Jazz, this is a great trade for them. Out of blowing up their entire roster, getting rid of Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell, who are 2 all-star guards, top 30 players in the league, they're able to get 7 first-round picks and a plethora of young talent, and they're able to rebuild for the future. They have everything they need to go ahead and go forward, and I think that you're going to see the Utah Jazz consolidate and still have a lot of players that they can go ahead and get rid of. You have Mike Conley, Bojan Bogdanovic, Jordan Clarkson. There are players that still have value in the league for championship level teams, and they're going to be calling the Utah Jazz. Danny Ainge has gone away with 7 first-round picks so far and a plethora of second-round picks and young talent. I think that this is a very, very good strategy for the Utah Jazz, and going forward, they're a team that's going to be in a prime position to rebuild the Utah Jazz, and at the end of the day, they're going to be ass. We know this is the case, but I like what they're doing, and I like the future for the Utah Jazz if they can get their cards right and make the right decisions. But back to the Cavs. Again, I think Donovan Mitchell on this team is a plus move. At the end of the day, you look at the fact that rebuilding teams are going to have to put themselves over the edge at one point, and I think the Cavs made that decision right now. I think that at the end of the day, Donovan Mitchell is an offensive star. You add in the fact that Darius Garland is rising, who was an all-star last year. Jared Allen, who's on his contract right now, was an improvement of what they expected him to be. And Evan Mobley, who we all love to talk about, is a player who could turn out to be one of the best young players in the league going forward, and possibly one of the best players in the game as the years to come. So right now, I love the young core that they have, headlined by Donovan Mitchell. I love the fact that they do have cap space, slightly enough to make moves to edit this roster going down in the future. They own their 2 first-round picks in 2023 and 2024. I think they're in a solid situation. The only thing that can affect this team is the fit and trying to figure out how to build this team into a true championship-level team that can compete in the Eastern Conference. If you were to ask me right now, where would they finish this year? I ain't gonna lie to you. I think that right now, to say they're a top 6 team would be kind of a stretch. But you could argue it. I would say right now this team is a play-in team that should win the play-in tournament. And I think that going forward, out of all the young teams that are in the NBA right now, the Cleveland Cavaliers are well on their way to being one of the top teams if they do everything right. And I think this was a great move to start. But y'all let me know in the comment section what you guys think. Do you think the Cleveland Cavaliers made the right decision? Is Donovan Mitchell the right superstar to add to this team? Do you think the Utah Jazz are in a good situation as well? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. For real. Let me know what's going on. I know the NBA season hasn't started yet, but I got more videos coming along the way. If you enjoyed the video, of course, leave a like on the video and subscribe and turn that post notification bell on so you don't miss a video. Until next time, stay on beat.